Hello and welcome to the Optimize Show. I am David Mamano, your host. I have a great friend, guest, partner. Oh my God, so excited to have you. Frank Cristaudo. Frank, welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much.
So excited to have you here.
Thank you. I enjoy being here.
Very excited. We're doing some great things with you, which we're going to get into. But first, I want to hear a little bit about your journey and how you got started into this whole business world of what you're doing today.
All right, yeah. Well, going back to my school, I'm a West Point grad, and also the lead in. I have the most hours ever in the history of West Point, over 200 years. I walked 471 hours, which means I got in trouble 471 times 5.
Wow, yeah, so, Andrew talked a little bit about that.
So number 2 was general custody at 286 at the time, so that was a long time ago. So anyway, that being said, did my time in the military, served overseas, and moved to Hawaii, and fell in love with the ocean and the seashells, and started this seashell company that sold to like movie stars and made lots of money and created my own currency, in Hawaii. Big story in Honolulu Advertiser. And doing the credit card payments, they would charge me like 10%.
Wow.
Instead of 2.5%, 3% for the transaction.
This is when, like what years?
This is 1999, 1998, 99. Yeah, right. 99 into 2000. So it was pukahawaii.com was the website. It was funny. But anyway, so we had this group in Manhattan, charging me 10%. They would have these dot matrix printouts this thick, and then go through and calculator, and pay out their and they said, so I said, well, why don't you just give me an Excel spreadsheet, and I'll just write a real quick program, and then you don't have to use that as an excuse anymore, and you can just charge me 3%.
Yeah.
And well, it can't be done. So they sent it to me on Friday. By Monday, they had it done. So your residuals are over. Can I have it? And that's how it all started. So they wanted me to write the system for them. So I started writing that system. And pretty much got me into the space, and which was basically, how we pretty much ripped off the merchant as much as we can, took as much money as we could, and kept it. But I wasn't very fond of that part. So.
Wasn't making it feel good.
Not at all.
So I
was actually embarrassed.
Yeah,
very embarrassed
because you guys were keeping so much.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like most entrepreneurs, you found a problem. In your opinion, a problem, a hole in the market, and said, I'm going to change this. Yeah. So how did you change it?
Lots of ways. One of the ways I wanted to change it was getting laughed out of a meeting with CEO, and I wanted to put a swipe at home for every consumer to save money for the merch and all this stuff, and they said, no, there's no money in payments, but we wanted to be able to do stuff like that. We also took the dial-up transaction and turned it into an IP transaction, which is like an internet transaction, and we would make money that way. We did a lot of that stuff. We created streams of information to help out Stripe to start them. They needed a feed. We had to use my feed for their system to be able to get the information from the mainframes out into into the new code of the internet, if you will. And so we've done a lot of things like that to help and build, at interchange for the merchants to make it a flat fee, that Heartland ain't buying, that type of stuff where, it's just try to, it was always end up being 5 years ahead of a lot of the things we came up with. And then our newest one, Dapit, which actually stands for DAP, is actually go back to the Vietnam War, which is Dignity and Pride. I don't know if you know the whole story of that. And so basically, but then we said, well, tap it, Dapit. So the whole idea of this whole Dapit was, just tap your card anywhere in the world, and you don't need a terminal anywhere, POS systems anymore. All you need is a card and or, a phone, and that's all you need, or your eye scan or your fingerprint and a PIN, and to help people. So that's pretty much what we got into our new Dapit idea, which is Tap It, basically.
So kind of Dapit rhymes with Tap It.
In a sense. Which is it's a play on words, yeah. Yeah,
tell us about that Vietnam, what the original Dapit, what is that?
Oh, the Dignity and Pride, DAP. It's just basically it was a brotherhood in Vietnam.
Okay. During the war.
Yeah, during the Vietnam War. So that's how the first name came to DAP, and then basically it was a play on this. We're trying to understand like friendships and loyalties and stuff like that. So we were trying to create a brand, and I looked around and I said, well, why don't we just do it? And that's where the DAP started. And then was how can we mess with DAP, tap, and we got the DAP it. So
very cool. Yeah. So it seems like correct me if I'm wrong, but. A big part of you is a software guy. Like
well, actually, my biggest I played professional soccer. I've played soccer 40 some years. Wow. Did that. Had to play autographs to the kids. Did all that kind of stuff. It was a lot of fun. Then on the side, because there's no money in the United States for soccer, so But yeah, so I was always in trouble at West Point, so I kind of learned how to do a lot of things. Play chess. a lot of lonely things.
Right.
So I wasn't allowed to leave the base. I wasn't allowed to leave I couldn't leave West Point with hours.
Yeah,
so if I had 80 hours, I only can do 5 a weekend. So it's a lot that's 16 weekends of just by myself. So I learned to do a lot of things. So I learned to program. I used to play MUDs. I don't know if you guys would know this stuff, but it's back in the 90s. Nerds would just have these worlds of rooms that are 1,000 floors high and 1,000 blocks out in a Rubik's Cube shape. Yeah. And you just remember 300 steps right north and stuff like that. So I do all that stuff. I got into programming, writing some stuff there, and.
So you have some spare time. I'm going to learn how to program. Well, one of the things, right?
Something. Yeah. I had a computer. We had certain things at West Point that we had a metal chair, a metal desk, and a computer and a chessboard.
You made the best of it. Yeah.
And a coffee pot.
Yeah. So Dapit is it's kind of I know you've been doing this this area, business in this area for a while, but Dapit is like a new brand. No,
it's a new brand. Yeah. It's been around about a year, and it goes along with Felix, one of my companies I own with my partner, which is basically the whole tap the phone, the whole idea of that. Mm-hmm. It's been around 2 years now. Yeah. So and Felix is one of the partners there, but had to do with the Dapit idea. So
I just interviewed another partner of yours, Andrew. Yeah, we had a great interview.
And did he tell you about the time we first met?
I would love to hear your version of that story.
So I wasn't very scared at Beast Barracks, where most new cadets were, because of I'd already been through prep school. Because of my asthma and everything. So I was ready for all this, and we walked up, and we just kind of hit it off. I looked at him. He's in upper class. I'm supposed to be scared of him. Like, no. Right. And we kind of smirked. He smirked, and it was this whole thing. And we have a picture taken of us 10 seconds before that he still has.
Yeah, he was telling us. We're going to find that picture.
And what's that?
We're going to find that picture. We're going to get that picture.
But randomly, one of our friends, our mutual friends, goes, hey, I know, oh my God, that's the guy. That's the guy I got in trouble for making him laugh. Right. And I always tell people I got him in trouble. I don't know if he did or not, but I always say that.
So. No, very, very similar story from his version as well. So he was not supposed to laugh.
No, not at all. So, and I always tell people I got him in trouble, but I'm sure I've gotten him in trouble.
Right. In other ways. Other times anyway. Right. Very cool. Very cool. So very exciting. Just wondering, and
by the way, he did move from Norway back to Manhattan.
Yeah, I know.
That's
you,
how excited he is.
Yeah, so I know. Good. That's awesome.
I think it's I don't know if it's. We'll see. No. This Norwegian's a little bit different than the Manhattaners, but
Right. Yeah. Well, I think he's enjoying it so far. His interview, there was a lot of passion and excitement about what you guys are doing.
I can see that. Yeah.
So. From me, a person who loves business, been studying it for years, I always love to find unique competitive advantage of businesses. So, there are a lot of competitors out there. We don't have to name them. Mm-hmm. But how is, if I'm a business and I'm saying, I'm thinking about doing this one, and this one, why should I do Dapit? What would you say?
Well, without giving away all our secrets, I would say we are about spreading the wealth to the world and lowering the cost of goods is what our biggest main focus is. And I think if people see what we're trying to do, they will believe in they'll believe in us, and it makes sense. And obviously, we have the oldest system, the platform started in the 90s, so it's a 24-year-old platform that's proven over 900,000 businesses have been connected to it one way or the other. Yeah. So, and our expertise is, second to none, I think, in this industry, and understand. I've taught many ISOs the world. The ISOs are the ones who sell the process of it. I've taught many of them over the last 20-some years, and most of them are either worth hundreds of millions or even close to billions at this point. But basically, the expertise is there. I think the business, the path is there. We just have to execute, I think.
Yeah. Well, and it's similar to what Andrew was saying too: transparency, honesty, doing things the right way.
Well, that's a good point. So he brought up the transparency thing. So one of the reasons why I'm so popular, in a sense, is because my system has the ability to hide and not hide, in a sense. This is part of my embarrassment of this industry a long time ago, was so they would use me to, if you will, the system was able to have so many different tools that you can say we made $100 in that account, and the agent's supposed to get 50. They could hide hundreds of fees, thousands of fees inside that, so it looked like they only made $6, and they would collect that. And the other way around, what we're going to do is open up the whole system to everybody to see every single penny, exactly where it came from the statement. From the statement that the merchant sees, all the way down to what the person who sold the account sees. So there is nowhere to hide it. And if you'd be surprised, there's over 8,800 fees that Fiserv charges on the one card transaction. That could be there or not.
Wow. And you're the only one doing this.
Well,
As far as being that transparent.
We will be the only one doing it. We
Yeah.
actually have not actually,
Yeah.
but that's, we do it internationally. We haven't done it domestically. How's that?
Yeah,
And internationally, process is a little bit different. It's more about a buy rate and a transaction fee, where domestic is more about a lot of smoke and mirrors and a lot of extra fees that aren't needed to be there.
Right.
So
is it safe to say that, I don't know if you would ever call yourself this, but you're kind of like the Robin Hood of the credit card industry?
I like to think so, maybe. Yeah, so
you look like the Sicilian Robin Hood of merchant account industry. Yeah.
I would like to think I am, and that is my objective in a sense, where there's so much money out there. And I was just mentioning this today to a merchant CEO is, I don't know why a merchant pays a dime for anything. Without them, commerce doesn't happen. So they should be the king of commerce, really, and we should treat it like it.
I love it. So, what a great note to end on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Frank, thanks for being on the show.
Of course, thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more from Frank and Andrew with Dapit. Some great things to come. Thank you so much for watching.